Man. My name's Duck. Duck's Why YouTube is the name of the channel. I just went ahead and flipped all the messages on. So if you guys want to drop in, say what's up, I don't know. Uh, we can do the culture wars, whatever you guys feel like doing. Culture wars. We can talk politics. If anybody wants to do geopolitics or you want to do Epstein stuff or something, clean some of this mess up, right? My mama she used to tell me, hey, hey, take a shower. Hey, Andy, hey, what's up? Good to see you. Yeah. I haven't been live in a couple of weeks. I did about an hour. Like last week or something, but yeah. Uh, I'm looking to do more lives and stuff. And yeah. Uh, and so like having handsome people like Andy come in chat, and yeah, who knows? Maybe Ducks Y will deconvert from politics. If anybody likes that, you can double tap the screen, like it, and yeah, we can do what we can do like adjacent to ASMR. We can do like culture wars. We can do sex stuff. What else? We'll do anarchic consolidation and stuff like that too. Yeah. And yeah, who knows? We'll have a little class about it though, right? I don't want to start accidentally competing with like Monk Life. I'm a member on Rob's channel. I think Rob knows. He's aware of my PFP. Um, so I don't want to compete with like the religious spaces or the God debate stuff, right? I said that like 6 months ago too. A bunch of people came in here and they were like, okay, praise God, praise Jesus. And I was like, cool. I'm not, sure, I could be Christian. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'm also not going to go deeper than that, right? I don't want to, if somebody asks me about my beliefs, cool, but, I ain't going to, I don't know. We can talk about like Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, right? Just like all the cool kids did, whatever the topic of the day is. The topic du jour, everybody. Pretty sure. Um, yeah, yeah, and the culture wars are heating up again. Donald Trump talked to a bunch of farmers. Hey, what's up? Zoe Bins. Good to see you. Yeah, the culture wars are heating up again. Donald Trump was talking to a bunch of farmers and stuff like that. Hey, what's up from to the Philippines? What's up? Good to talk to you. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, which is like the Southwest United States. So yeah, hi. Good to see you. Good to see you. And yeah. So I'm in Zona. We got Zoe in chat. We got Edgar. Um, yeah, yeah. And all this other stuff. But yeah, I think times like this where there's global wars, and there's like politics stuff happening, around the world. It's just like, okay, well, like, um, I need to be able to go out and get the things I need still. And so there's like this element of emotional balance, and that could be anything, right? It doesn't have to be just one thing, right? If you actually ask and think about it, that ability to sort of internalize and talk about, whatever stuff, that stuff's all cool, right? Um, and some people like the sort of bigger stories and the bigger pictures, and they don't want to think that there's like a president or a guy leading us or influencing the world, right? There's someone talking for all of us right now, and it's like, okay, well, if I can avoid being told what to do or who to be, those are still things I'm going to kind of vote on, right? Those are the things I'm going to choose. um yeah yeah um And I'm dressed up like a candy cane tonight too. I'm already in my jammies. I know the YouTube space has gotten professionalized, but we're in jammy mode and stuff tonight. Um yeah. Yeah. Um what else? Yeah, I feel like I can go and go and go. That's another thing is, I don't know where you guys find yourself in the world where, you know, it's like, oh, I'm in the mood to learn something now, right? I'm in the mood to go be somewhere, go do something. And it's always crazy uh because because when we're talking about, yeah, elected officials are destined for failure. They have a huge job, right? They have a huge job, and it's tough because, if voters are only allowed to talk about so many things, then you have to ask, well, why are they going to vote for someone? But like when you take a step back from that, you also can see, I hope you see there that, one of the things that we think about too is that, well, voters still can't just talk about anything, right? Even as I think I would say as unhinged as Trump and MAGA have been, I don't think there's been a fair conversation if you want to talk about that or think about it in that way. I don't see a fair conversation there. And yeah, oh my gosh, we got a birthday. We got Jalen's birthday. Jalen Boone, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you from all of YouTube. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jalen. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jalen. You guys, let's rave a little bit. Thanks so much. Hey, what's up, Diddy? Good to see you. We got a birthday going on right now. Amen. It's the birthday weekend, right? It's Friday in Arizona. So guys, get the energy up a little bit if you want for Ms. Jalen, Ms. Mr., whoever you are, Jalen Boone. Happy birthday to you. That's awesome. And we got a belated birthday. Happy belated birthday to JR 3053. That's awesome, guys. Yeah, maybe we can be a dedicated birthday channel. I'll just dress up like a candy cane every day. I'll say, hey, I'm your buddy duck. I'm here for you. We came into this world together, folks, whether we recognize it or not. And now we're here. We only have the future. We only have the future that can really drive this thing up, right? It's going to drive our lives through the roof. No, that's not the point of this, right? Our point's just to celebrate each other. July 23rd. Yeah, I'm July. I'm also July 31st. Hey, what's up, David? Yeah, if I remember July 23rd, we can do a little live stream party. Who knows? If Donald Trump didn't bring along the apocalypse by then, whatever. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some good like July movie releases. Whatever. Some good news between now and then, right? That's always optimistic to think about. There's going to be some good news. People are going to be part of that, right? It's kind of like, I'm like this big science sort of guy. So I'm always thinking like, okay, if you gave me permission, if you guys gave me permission to explain it, I'd be like, yeah, I might look for a cause and then just accept it, right? That's the cause. I'll think about it critically when I can. Right. That's how old I am, not that cool, but that's what I would tell you is like, kind of creepy old man duck. No offense. But yeah, there's like that feeling, right? That arena feel to me, that stadium feel for sure. There's always this stadium feel when we're talking about like, celebrating stuff together. So we got 2 birthdays today to celebrate. We got July 23rd on the calendar now. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see these words. You didn't say ASMR though. If David said ASMR, we know we would all be in business here. Adore, kisses, and see you soon. David loves you. Big kisses. See you soon, friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that. Do you know anything about your ancestry, ducks? Yeah, I my family's from Sicily and Germany, so I'm Italian and German. I don't know that much about my dad's side. I've been told Polish Ukrainian, right? So I might have some Ashkenazi blood. I don't think so. I might have, whatever, Ukrainian Roma. I don't think so or whatever. But, my dad's side, I just don't think so. I don't know, right? Either way, those sort of like European, those kind of like slightly Eastern, Central European, German, Western European. We're all forest people, right? That's like the oldest ancestry where maybe there's like genetic markers. Maybe that's true. But yeah, my parents and their parents walked in the forest and then they fell over and slept in the winter, right? You had to have somebody going out still walking in the winter to get enough stuff. Wop. What up, Connor? Hope football is going well, brother. Brother, man. Hell yeah. We had strength camp Connor, right? We had a no. I'm gonna make fun of you a little bit, but we had a Dinkus Connor doing the middle of weightlifting, high test stuff. So good to see you, dude. Hopefully your school and brain and everything like that's going well. Um. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jalen. Yeah, yeah. My grandparents passed like 10 years ago, right? My grandparents passed like 10 years ago. Um, and so, I think like one of the things I think like that it doesn't really matter, but because I was a little I'm a little old now, but like I wish I had spent more time when I was younger, and then most of us get to college and we're all busy, and then people are in high school and busy, and then we've got our first job and we're busy. And so, maybe it's like a boy thing, it's just a person thing, but it's like, yeah, I kind of wish I had appreciated relationships, spaces like that a little bit more so, a little more so earlier on in my life. Hey, what up, Rebel Duster? What up? Yeah, I was just thinking there are these Bengali folks. There are these guys from Bangladesh that took care of my family, my grandma, right? So this was, like I said, 10 years ago, but it was there are, the people that owned the company that helped take care of my grandpa were from the Caribbean Isles, and then the people that worked from them were from Bangladesh, so they were Bengali. And so, yeah, that was a cool experience, getting to know them, but they're really nice, really cool, right? They're taking care of people 24/7, cooking food, doing dishes, doing laundry, like basically doing everything around the house, if that makes sense. So everybody sees all that stuff a little bit different, and it's not like this like super deep biological thing, but it's just awareness that like, oh, well, if I was in a house for 24 hours a day, whatever, I would just think that that's not like maybe my first, maybe a little bit, it's not my first choice, right? I don't like wake up thinking, oh, I wish I could do more laundry, but it's like, yeah, if that's my job and it's a caretaker role, I can see how people do it, right? I'm not going to go super softy or something like that, but still can be like incredibly grateful, I think, to people that do that stuff. Italy. Have you ever been to Italy? Yeah, that's cool. Asia's a big continent, right? Asia's got, these little islands dotted across it. You've got mainland, you've got South Asia, which is like India, Bangladesh. Nepal is not that far from there. You've got Vietnam, you've got Burma, Myanmar. So you've got all those countries, and then obviously China is I think the biggest geographical landmass in Asia, or it's Russia, Mongolia, the Korean Peninsula, all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, Jalen. That's very sad. I am sorry. I am sorry. Yeah. It's sad when I hear people and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know. Frankenbeans. Frankenbeans. Rar. I wish the Middle East wasn't so tumultuous, okay? So I would love to visit Iraq for the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia. Andy's too smart. Andy followed me here tonight from another channel that we're both on. He's one of the smart guys on the channel. Not only very helpful, but he's also very curious, right? And so that's the cool thing to me. I don't mind anything. Like, I'm just saying literally anything, but it's just also like it's not it's a fact of life that you can go read books, right? Alexandria could have gotten burnt down by a Taco Bell just as much as it could have gotten burnt down by fire, which is what burnt it down, right? That's why the Library of Alexandria isn't there. I was trying to pay a compliment without like getting too personal into you or something like that. But yeah, we can do a little more personal stuff if you guys want to. Diddy Culiento. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry about that. Um, yeah, we got a couple passed away grandparents here. So that obviously very sad stuff, right? Here's one way that we can almost keep the memory of our grandparents alive or stay a little closer. I got like one book here. So when was this? When was this written? Yeah, 1937. 1937. So this is John Steinbeck. It's just one of because it's a very the reason I like this book is, and I got to make sure we don't have a page with the N word on it because this book says the N word a lot, but these it's very simple to read. You can kind of open it and just enjoy the literature if you like. But yeah, 1930s, this is when my grandparents were kids, right? Kids in the 1930s. And very little, but yeah, it kind of captures the time period. So it's just something, older people like me like to do is kind of think what history was like back then. It's not trying to be like too smart, but it's like, okay, well, can I apply this to my day? Do I love it? Right? Am I interested in that kind of stuff? Hey, see you, Diddy. Have a good night. Yeah, bro. You ever play? I'm a candy cane. I'm a candy cane jack of many trades. I'm a candy cane, bro. I'm not trying to correct you. To be totally honest, yeah, but Robinson Crusoe also said the N-word a lot. Same with To Kill a Mockingbird, says Connor. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good chance to learn a little emotional maturity and get introduced to those types of concepts. There's not like a better or worse way to like understand all that kind of stuff. Not really. I think it's obviously great in the age of social media to be anti-racist or avoid racism, right? If your favorite content producer says a bad word once, it's like, yeah, that you can actually just not watch that channel if you don't want to. If it's someone who you think like they made a historical slip or they were using it as profanity and you're like, well, I've done that in the past or, whatever. It's like, okay, cool. But I still think it's not weird to earn an explanation. To me, that's what anti-racism is you can just leave or you can kind of do that kind of stuff. But yeah, back on the literature for Connor, he says To Kill a Mockingbird was a really good book. It might be my favorite other than the Aeneid. Other than the Aeneid. Cool, man. That's awesome, dude. You sound like you might be a better reader than me. I struggled. I'm like a smart guy. I struggled with a lot of reading in school. It took me a long time to read books after high school. That's cool. I didn't do really well with the Greek writing. I did okay with like post-Enlightenment British literature. I read some Voltaire, so like that post-Enlightenment period I could do, but I just struggled reading Greek stuff. I read the Full Republic at one point in time, which is a very long book by Plato. Right? I believe it's these dialogue sort of style things and whatever it is. I don't remember it entirely, but yeah, I read that in college. That was good. But yeah, Virgil is a very good writer. Yeah, I went to Catholic school too, so I got Dante's Inferno. So that was out of Enlightenment Italy. Is anyone here bilingual? I've been learning a second language over the past few months, and it's been quite the struggle. That's cool. The Aeneid is a very difficult book to understand. Virgil was a Roman writer, not a Greek. Virgil was Roman, not Greek. Oh, okay, cool. That's cool. Yeah, Virgil, it's kind of got those like morphs. Like it's like I didn't know that, but it's like, oh, that makes sense. Virgil sounds like it starts sounding more like a romantic language versus like Greco-Northern African, Egyptian, sort of like those languages sound very different. And actually Greek was used quite a bit in those countries too. Yeah, very, interesting stuff. The languages are very different, but in some ways, like, I think the structure of like Greek and Egyptian languages isn't like, it's not like totally different, right? It's maybe a little different, but it's not that different, right? It's because it's people at the end of the day. It's people talking and saying it. Um, I'm pretty sure Virgil was pro Hellenization. Oh, cool. Maybe not. He might be on the side of Cato the censor. Yeah, fucking A, man. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Oh, get out of here, man. That's cool. That's gonna be cool. Andy, maybe one day he's gonna be one of the top mythicists, maybe one of the top mythicists or Bible scholars or something like that. That'd be cool. I like a lot of those guys too. I like a lot of the people on that side of the tubes. Latin is easy other than translating English into Latin. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't think Latin was that easy. I thought Spanish was easy, and I didn't think any learning other languages I didn't think was that easy. Because they didn't actually want you to learn the language. I don't think, like, I think that teachers would say, I want you speaking it, but they didn't want you understanding the language. You know, I wish there was like, I wish in the United States there's a way to like start working when you're like 22, 23, and maybe you haven't finished all of college yet, but you can like put on your resume and say, hey, I am in college. Right? I am in college. I will have a next step of my degree done when I'm 25 or 26. And then I'll have the next step of my degree done when I'm like 30. That would be very cool. It'd be very cool. But it's also, I do also think it's beneficial to just have, that kind of wherewithal to go all the way through school in the first place, all the way through schools in the first place. My teacher's been doing AP Latin for 30 years. He takes Latin so serious, it can be sort of annoying at times. Cool. Well, all right. All right. All right. All right. Owie. Maybe we can do Manosphere content. If we get sick of doing Latin, we get sick of doing classical periods. Yo, what's up? How you doing? We're starting a Manosphere channel. I don't know if you know the Manosphere on YouTube, but we're trying to get into it. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Your vape's almost out of juice. Yeah, this thing's cash, dude. I was gonna walk up to the smoke shop later on. Your teacher's 200 years old. Well, that's dope as hell. That is dope as hell. Have you seen Kill Bill? There's a teacher in that movie who is actually very old. He teaches people how to fight so as to not need to fight. Right? Push to start. Blick. Loved Kill Bill. Yeah. Kill Bill was a cool movie, right? This is one of the things that like a lot of fighters miss out on. Not just fighters, but since we're doing Manosphere stuff, guys, tune in for the new Manosphere here. I'm gonna pin this message up. I gotta hold on. I gotta pin this up that we're doing new Manosphere. Nobody fucking freaking leave here yet. I'm sorry. Everybody's leaving. But yeah, this is one of the things that, like, no offense to you guys, a lot of fighters do miss out on this aspect. They miss out on this aspect that if you are going on to become maybe like a top MMA guy, and you guys know this, that there's obviously linebackers, there's obviously like ex-military guys, there's ex-college wrestlers, right? There's a bunch of stuff that you can do to get into MMA, but hey, what's up, Pong Fong? What do you think of Nick Fuentes? Yeah, he's not the new Manosphere, so give me 1 second. You guys are gonna see what I'm doing in just a second here. Okay, you guys are gonna see what I just did here. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, so wrestling is a great base, but yeah, Nick Fuentes, okay, so I think if you're like one of these, one of these guys, and you can say, well, this is about, perhaps, maybe your grandma spoke Yiddish or something, and so it is about that to some extent, regarding language and grandparents and like grandma, I love you, that kind of stuff for sure. But if I can just like speak bluntly, I think Nick Fuentes doesn't think about it like that. I think Nick Fuentes is actually like a racist guy, right? No offense, but once again, I think Nick Fuentes is actually like low key a little bit racist. Because he's never like, well, yeah, whatever. So that's what I think. College wrestlers do tend to do quite well. Yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah. And we got to be careful with those types of comments too, Andy, because we are meant to be a channel for all people in all ways. So right now, like that's obviously very acceptable, but like, just over time, when we are talking about what makes like an MMA fighter successful, right? We're gonna really be putting in the sort of legwork to make sure that as men, our ethics are okay like that. Okay. She was a Russian Jew. My grandmother literally did speak Yiddish. Oh, cool, cool. Heck yeah, dude. Russian, and so some people know this. Russian Zionism is a little bit different, right? It's a little more utopian than the Zionistic writing coming out of Israel. The political implications really are stuck in a political process. They're a little bit more about the metaphysics of a person and stuff too. So that stuff's really cool. It won't let me say anything. Hey, I'm not, I'm Connor. Let me hold on. I'm checking your messages, dude. I'm seeing some of these messages, but yeah, like I said, oh, whoops, sorry. Yeah, so like I said, yeah, I will check messages and stuff like that. And we're gonna try and not, kind of get blocked by YouTube for speaking up for men's rights and stuff like that. Just when we're talking about the aggregate politics debate and what we are allowed to talk about and B and C and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, like we're gonna, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. I didn't say anything about politics. It just censored crap. Yeah, dude, that sucks, man. Yeah, no offense, that sucks, dude. For Connor, guys, hey, F in chat, tap one because Connor's getting big teched. He's getting teched by big tech. They got 15 points on Brubba. Couldn't even get an escape. Dang, man. This is a hard crash out, bro. Okay. This is a hard crash out, dude. I don't understand, man. I totally don't understand, dude. I got to get rid of some of these books too. If you guys are new here, we're converting to Manosphere. So you guys can see this one. You can see one of my dogs chewed on this book. Yeah, so those are dog chew marks. This is called Justice for Hedgehogs. It's by a law professor who wrote a political science book. Hey, what's up, dude? Heck yeah, dude. We got Waldo fans in the chat, bro. What's up, man? We're starting a Manosphere channel. So welcome to you. If you want to hang out for a little bit, do dude stuff, we're excited, man. Yeah, and so that's my perspective on books is that, Yeah, I think it's a really good skill to see what the author meant, see how they organize their book, see how they organize their argument. And like the thing that really smart people do is they, you got this whole thing and they see like, well, here's where you can put the main argument, right? The main argument actually does these sort of maybe three or four things. Maybe two or three of them are really important. And then you can put the main idea still as relating to this other stuff. So that's why, but you also don't need all that. And people that use ChatGPT know that, right? They know it really well. They know the sort of when people say the grounding for an idea, or when they say like, well, here's how it relates to other ideas. That's usually in the first sort of couple pages, like the full size books. Some people know that kind of stuff, like it a little bit. So that's cool. Yeah. I don't know. Michael Crichton. He was one of the Batmans, right? Um, yeah, I don't know the guy. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you have a different question, no, an author. He wasn't okay. So he's like the guy that wrote Jurassic Park or something like that, I think. Jurassic Park, Sphere. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, no, okay. Yeah, so not Batman, definitely not a Batman. Um, yeah, I didn't. My dad, dude, do you guys remember your dad's books? My dad had a Jurassic Park book. He used to organize his ideas using note cards. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. Do you guys use note cards when you're writing and stuff? When you guys are like, you're like, whatever, it's, Saturday. So you're like, yeah, so you kind of think like, okay, well, here's the character, um and then like, because it's Saturday, it's Sunday, whatever, no offense, but I'm just gonna do like pop out a quick, 500 worder, you know. I might text Bay, not Bay like in that sense, but just like, this chick hits me up and she's like, yo, you're an essayist or something, dude. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Humongous? We got Humongous in chat, everybody. I hope he stays around for a while. He, she, they, of course, obviously. I hope Humongous stays here. Um, we're starting a new Manosphere style channel. Manosphere style channel. Um, I do believe, folks. Oops, what happened here? Dude, I'm getting so wrecked here, man. We're all talking books here. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll admit that I thought Michael Crichton was one of the Batmans too. So I made that mistake once. But I don't think I'll make that mistake again. I admit Westworld and Jurassic Park were a little too similar. Whoa. Uh, Easter's of the Dead was different. Easter's of the Dead was different. Okay, cool, different thing. Yeah, I mean, my only like response to you is I didn't see those movies. So if you're going to be in here talking about movies and authors and stuff like that, that's cool. But I'm going to keep a lookout and remind you that those are like your things that you're really good at. And that's sick, dude, right? Those aren't my things that I know. Welcome to the new Manosphere, folks. Welcome to the new Manosphere, folks. What else? Easter's of the Dead was different. Yes. Yes. What other authors do you guys like? What other authors do you guys like? No, dude. Back to Ducks. Okay, so back to Ducks, dude. Um, Yeah, there's this other guy. Have you guys heard of he lived a remarkable life, I'll say that. This guy named Stephen King. He wrote many books, right? Some of those books were turned into movies. And they're actually really good books too, right? There are scary horror books and stuff like that too, and so it doesn't really matter. But Jurassic Park had Prey had Andy Weir is having a moment. Yeah, yeah. Just be a little cautious of like the. I'm just gonna say this one second time. Being cautious of like dick flexing and stuff, guys. We do have to have some ground rules since we're going in the manosphere space. So like, yeah, and the one of the reasons we avoid that is because we're not even trying to come up with euphemisms for a dingus. And so like again, when you've got your thing you're really good at, and it's like we recognized it. Okay, we see you. Don't leave yet, right? Don't leave, guys. We got work to do. Please don't. But yeah, just be careful with that kind of stuff too. Just kind of casual, not even a warning, but like a channel note kind of thing. Yeah, thanks. Jurassic Park and Prey Eruption have the same plot. Super smart science teams do crazy science, but yeah, disaster does happen because of budget cuts and laziness. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. This is one of the cool things, monads and dualism. When you've got these sort of concepts, right, without them being philosophical. But like, I do have one note on that. This thing here too, is that yeah, and I hope I wasn't too harsh on that one guy that was just here talking about like authors and stuff. But yeah, like a monad is it's this crazy aesthetic concept of like a one thing. So when you say, well, there's science and budgets, right? It's like, well, you're gonna write about those things or read about like whatever. Don't like go make yourself go crazy, but you're gonna write about those things when you're doing it in a different way, right? Um, and so some people might say, well, that's not really a monad, but it sort of is because it's like, well, if I have a particle or some like one thing that I'm now using to be my framing, right? These are my scenes and stuff that I have. You have that monad, but then it can go out and different characters interpret it and use it and all that kind of like bullshit BS stuff, kind of like that. Okay, and so I think that one in high school is one of those. Also, Scary Stories, Tell in the Dark was good as well. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, we're good, guys. We're good. Yeah. New Manosphere, welcome to my channel. Yeah, please note the pinned message. Please note the pinned message. What about Donald Trump, right? Do you guys think we can get Donald Trump in this chat room? What do you guys think that would take, huh? Illustrated Man short stories. What do you guys think it would take to get Donald Trump here? I wonder if we could do it. I wonder if we could. You just gotta smile more. You just gotta smile more. Why don't you put a smile on that face? Ray Bradbury. There's some shit right there, right? Ray Bradbury's a funny dude. Yeah, he's a funny guy. Do you guys know this? Ray Bradbury wrote a book called Fahrenheit 451. Those are called dystopian books, right? Those are called dystopian books. Yeah, yeah. So, those are called dystopian books, right? Okay, and so when you're talking about Ray Bradbury, you're talking about someone who saw this maybe standardizations occurring as someone like walks throughout or across their day, right? That's and so like a lot of people who were part of Is Manosphere gonna be a rebrand or a new channel? I don't know, dude. If I can get 50 subs, if you could get 50 subs, you could start this up right now, right? The new Manosphere. The new Manosphere. The new Manosphere, everybody. Yeah, yeah, you've got this whole other task of cleansing society of dangerous ideas and information. It's very interesting, right? In some sense, it's a natural idea, I think, because if I just tell you, maybe you guys tell me this, right? You guys, this is all of your guys' wisdom and stuff in one. But we have got to recognize that society is inefficient sometimes, right? Nature is efficient, society is inefficient sometimes. And so you have a bigger lie and then a truth, right? Because it's just funny because, I do think people like Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson or Charlie Kirk, these guys talked about a better way of living. They would say, well, yeah, it's not country bumpkins, but if you go out to the country, you have people who know how to live off the land and make things themselves. It is more efficient, right? You're not depending on Google to do things for you. And it's sort of ironic because it's almost incoherent to argue in my opinion. The idea is like, hey, see ya, Andy. Thanks for hanging out, dude. Have a good night. Have a good night, Mr. Hootlin. Mr. Hootlin proper, eh? Mr. Hootlin proper, right? I feel like Israel's taking people out. Yeah. Netanyahu's plan, whatever, riding the Trump train as long as we all could or something. Who knows? I do think that is like traditional Jewish comedy in some sense, is that, yeah, Israel obviously killed 100,000 people in Palestine, and have recently killed another 600 in Lebanon, probably responsible for whatever it is, a third or half of the Iranian deaths so far. But Israel might also say, well, look, if we were not going to take you out initially, we would have preferred to just never have engaged in the first place, because that's what warfare is, right? It's cost and all this other stuff. It's cost, it's having to completely redo stuff. And that is because it's just how a nation state is supposed to work a certain way. So who knows? Maybe that's my own fucked up thinking. I don't think Charlie Kirk's, unless his assassin, unless the guy who killed Charlie Kirk, right, has said, that it was because of his Israeli speech. But I do think it was related to specifically what this person identified over Discord, as well as what they identified as artifacts as part of, what he might have seen as totems as part of the murder, right? He kind of put these symbolisms on the bullet and stuff. So very sad, split the dude's neck open, right? And so, yeah. And so, like, if there's actually a way to, like, sort of imagining that, maybe there was some symbolism there, but it was also really just an animalistic act. And so, like, it's like, oh, well, how did that get there actually, right? That's one of the things why we don't do conspiracy theory. In my opinion, why I don't personally do conspiracy theories ever is because, like, well, because there is a way to actually ask that question in a court of law, right? In a court of law with a judge and, and all that stuff, right? That wasn't, what Charlie was. He's getting threats from the FBI for the Israeli comments. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you say things that are racist publicly, or even if you say things that are perhaps on the political outside, or even directly against what your political opponents, the opposition wants to say, those are all really bad things, right? Those are all things that don't work that well. Um, I don't like AOC or Mamdani, but I don't wish death upon them. I don't know why people celebrated Charlie's death like it was New Year's. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, Charlie Kirk he built an entire social media brand being oppositional, right? So Charlie Kirk, he himself said that, well, my home is the world, right? Which is a very stupid thing. You think this is like a cosmopolitan mindset, but for Charlie Kirk, it was a fascist mindset, right? You obviously always have free speech. Obviously, people should have said, well, this Charlie Kirk guy might have 100,000 followers, but he's batshit insane. He's actually has brain damage. He literally didn't say one single true thing his entire career. He's this guy's a fucking idiot. Right? He's not a politician. He's not a political supporter of anyone. He's a fucking idiot. But then, you give the guy 1 million followers across 6 different social medias. You give him the chance to make, 20,000 different pieces of social media, all of those being metaphysically global opposition to everything, hateful, basically just shitting on stuff, not in like a owned way, but in a, I'm going to make this worse way. And so, yeah, the same phenomenon you would expect for any elected politician, even at the state level, where you caught a crazy person's attention on the digital platforms or, physical mediums you did. I think from like a risk perspective, or if you were a security company, you'd be like, yeah, this guy, it would probably be surprising if you were contracted to do security for Charlie Kirk for 10 years or 5 years and there was no incident at all. That would be incredibly surprising, I think, to a lot of people, right? I think most people would say this is a high risk person. There's a lot of money. Elaborate on how he didn't prove anything to be true. He proved many people wrong. I don't think he did, right? How do you I don't know what he would have been talking about, right? If he's saying I can compete with these people, it's like, okay, well, cool. But I know, right, if you had to, I think the brass taxes, like, well, you yourself had to eat, a pound of steak to even show up to these debate events. So you're already going in to go do something based on this other like mechanistic thing. And so if you're saying that, well, I can influence the political process or something in some way, well, people knew social media could do that, right? There's no reason to put Charlie Kirk at the center of that calculation, right? Hence the fact that the guy that shot him is either incredibly dumb or he's mentally unwell, right? He's probably also a political extremist, but he could also be said to be either dumb or mentally unwell. It'd be very surprising if that information didn't surface over the course of the investigation. Yeah. And so that's why I think saying Charlie Kirk accomplished all this stuff on social media was already doing that to a large extent. And the fact that he's not producing any useful things. Hey, what's up? We got Robert Fruget here. Hello, Robert Fruget. What's up, Nar? We're doing this manosphere experiment. We're doing manly uwus, and I don't know, dude. I don't know that much, man. The whole abortion thing. Science literally proves that life begins at conception, and people still try to find loopholes. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So, yep. That's Europe. A lot of people, my people, Roman Catholics, former Roman Catholics, say that, yeah, some people do believe that, but that belief might not be one of those beliefs that applies to the political process, right? In the same sense, I would say where you say that, I might say, well, yeah, like getting naked and taking a picture, this is nudity, it's pornography as well, right? These are both adult things or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and so, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I think because I wouldn't like regulate a political process personally for something like pornography, right? If I was a politician and I was running on a platform involving like OF or something, I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, I'm sure there's research groups, there's probably victim advocacy groups and stuff that have something to say about this industry, but I'm going to start there, right? I'm not going to start with what someone does with their body, right? Because I know that my moral opinion doesn't actually necessarily relate to the world because it doesn't relate to this world and other things, right? And let me put it this way, right? Okay, so like say it was the case I had like, this like I mean no offense, like a solid like 3 or 4 or like a 6 or 7 chick that I was like super into, right? So I was super into this chick or something like that. And yeah, and so Robert Fruget. It sounds good. It rolls off the tongue for sure, right? That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, if I was dating a 7 chick or something like that, and we were like we both agreed on those numbers and stuff like that, right? And um, but like I would know that like if she decided to do an OF account or something like that, I'd be like, okay, well, like whatever. This is a little stupid, but we can talk about it, right? And that's it. And so I would know my opinion about pornography, maybe like not being like hyper moral, right? Not like in a shame producing way, but it's like, yeah, I just don't have a moral belief about pornography just because of pornography, right? It's not a category that I think of, right? Um, you know, it sounds weird for me to say it's like a cashier, but I don't have a reason to say otherwise, right? It's a cashier to VP of sales, whatever. It's a, depending on who you are, right? Like Sophie Rain. Sophie Rain's like, she's not like a VP of sales, but she probably has like, whatever. She probably has 10 companies or stock certificates or something at this point, right? She's hopefully got a Vanguard. Sophie, if you're watching, hopefully you've got a Vanguard or Charles Schwab, or something, right? Whatever. Go park some money in a non-correlated hedge fund or something, and yeah, and whatever, cash, or your financial advisor can tell you how it all works. But yeah, like for like a Sophie Rain, like she's not a 6 or 7. She's like that chick's like a solid 9 or a 10, right? Like gnar, dude, right? For sure, right? So I wouldn't say something like just because this is like the new Manosphere style, I wouldn't be like, oh, Sophie, like it's possible that we're gonna fuck, because we wouldn't, right? In a million years, that would never happen, right? There'd be 0% chance that we fuck. Um, yeah, but I would say that like, yeah, I don't have an opinion about your OnlyFans career for sure, though. You know. Oh, Robert Fruget from Louisiana. Um, I don't know if you know. Uh, do you know Robichaud? Do you know Rishad? My buddy Rishad from down there. I had my buddy Rishad from Louisiana. My buddy Rishad. I hope you know him. Good fella. Yeah, but no, yeah, legit. I was just going in because we were talking about Charlie Kirk's life, and we are talking about like the economics of stuff. You guys heard about the OF Fit guy, Leonid Rosinski? He passed away, right? He liked cash businesses. So from a business perspective, right? Because guys got to know this stuff, right? So from a business perspective, Leonid Radovinsky, he liked cash businesses. There's some computer science businesses where they're not cash, right? Your point is you've got this thing called a negative cash flow. So basically it means that you have to invest all your money for a long period of time, and you're losing money, right? So if you start with $1 million, it's even when you're collecting money, it's still going down. And then at some point you become profitable and you go back up, right? So this is like a U-shaped cash flow curve or something like that. And then you can look at cash infusions and periodic payments and stuff. But he liked cash payments, right? He liked, so, and who knows, maybe he was either completely agnostic or pervy or whatever, agnostic about it. But yeah, he started cam girl websites and stuff like this. And then he bought OnlyFans. So, but yeah, so he's this kind of guy that maybe understood that you get profitable as fast as you can. And yeah. And, maybe he had a bias that like, oh, well, this isn't like, who knows? I didn't know him, but like, I don't know, maybe not like libertarian, but he's like, yeah, if you are the supply, right? If you're the economic supply for my website, it makes sense that a decent amount of the money goes back to you. And then there's maybe just how the site works, and there's not much more to say about it. Who knows? I didn't know him, so obviously there could have been bad stuff or weird stuff you morally disagree with personally that you wouldn't do. I don't think I would start an adult website ever in a million years, but I do think it's cool to understand that kind of stuff too. The mother grows 100% of the baby. That's hard-hitting knowledge right there. Yes. The baby gets 50% of DNA from both parents. Yeah. Yeah. And that meiosis process, the meiosis and mitosis that our cells undergo, right? That is something that happens, that, who knows? It's owed, someone could say it's owed to evolution. It itself is maybe just explanatory of this phenomenal process. It doesn't relate to categories that we think of such as life, right? You can say it's alive, but it is typically, when we think about what DNA does, this meiosis and mitosis process where the cellular structure splits and creates these perfect DNA, these copied DNA pairings that cut in half, meiosis and mitosis. Those are, whatever we call them. Those are whatever the fuck ever we call them. I don't know, guys. What do you guys think of Donald Trump, though? The mother grows a baby, but why should she have the right to kill an underdeveloped human because of it's unwanted? There's always adoption. Fascist pig. Yeah. Yeah. So, I think seeing that one out, right? Seeing that one out without attachment, you're basically you're putting the entire category of killing into this one thing, such as an abortion, is the way I philosophically interpret that, right? And so I am in some opposition, but I think one of the reasons why I don't think I'm like being like oppositionally competitive, or I'm still trying to be both intuitive and maybe a little discerning when I say this, even though I disagree with the policy enormously, is that, well, if I was to write you an essay about different things that happen in nature that we define as killing or as death producing, there's a long list there, right? And not all of those are political, right? You cannot sue someone because it's 120 degrees in Arizona. People do die in Arizona when it's 120 degrees outside. Right. And then you can't sue, right? You can't sue your mom or dad because you got a set of genes that you're unhappy with, right? That's not a lawsuit that could happen. You can't legislate that. You can fund, but it's very easy without any of that nonsense. You can fund, if I say, like, let's say I have an opinion or something, my opinion would be you can fund education programs better, right? Go learn something, and I'm not joking, go learn something that you can go apply someplace else, right? If you're interested in how society just bumps into not just the physical health, the physical health sciences, not like a not just thing, but if you can't see how society bumps into those, and then there's hopefully a concreter to find stop point, right? And the rest of it maybe lives outside of a school, but you definitely have these evidence-based, scientifically researched, peer reviewed, committee reviewed sort of sex ed programs. And then you can go extend that through public private partnerships or something like that too. It's like, yeah, I would vote for that over that. I don't know. Abortion damages the body more than pregnancy does. The body was biologically designed to protect the baby. Yeah. Yeah, it could be, I think in any direction, right? A pregnancy is a massive change to a metabolism. And yeah, I think people can learn that subset of women's health if they want to, whatever. I'm not that interested in it. But yeah, septum piercing, lip piercings, neck tattoos, ear tattoos. These are all things I think that can hurt somebody. Yeah, yeah. Mm, Just motorboat it, right? Just motorboat it. Motorboat it. Um, Rashad Thibodeau's, Gertrude's, Coulivares, Young's. I don't like Trump or his cabal admin or his MAGA minions. All right. I believe that guy, Connor. You should listen to that guy, right? Listen to him. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll tell you what, you got to listen to him, but more than listen to him, you got to have him over for dinner a little bit. Pay the man a little something. Hey, you can listen to a man and build a little self-respect, a little tolerance for another man. You don't invite him over for dinner. Never gonna make it more than that. That's all it is. That's all it is. I step up to my pickup truck every day. Yeah. If I'm in Arizona, that's what I'd say. I step up to my pickup truck every day. Doesn't make it like a fucking NASA moon landing or something like that. It's just there. Conservative, not MAGA. Dang, dude. Yeah. Donald Trump brought up the CNN poll that showed 100% of MAGA Republicans approved of Donald Trump. Crazy stuff. That is absolutely crazy. I don't know what these people thought Donald Trump was. Crazy. Yeah. I mean, but seriously, if people make the comparison to North Korea, we say, okay, well, North Korea is a fascist administrative state. Donald Trump did this in a democracy. Right? Same thing. You're building gulags through the department, DHS, and stuff like that. Um, it's all really bad stuff. And so I do think that people can contextualize the civil war and split in Korea, right? Just in case. Hey, thank you. I'm a candy cane today. We're doing Manosphere stuff. But yeah, you can contextualize the Korean War, which was a civil war, right? It's considered a proxy war, right? Whatever. There's a bunch of stuff you can go learn about that if you're interested in that kind of stuff. And yeah, and people can also see that North Korea's, as much as it is very much an authoritarian, repressive, it's not a democracy, but they've also had lots of bureaucratic measures, right? They've built their own military and governmental software. They do hardware production. They do manufacturing. They have both a centrally controlled economy as well as some not a small amount of outlays to global economies and stuff like this. And so you should see why a mature state like North Korea is also a very dangerous state, right? It's dangerous. It's also a weak state. Most people would say North Korea has enough kinetic capabilities to be dangerous, but not enough to actually really make an impact. And so that it's really just becomes ugly stuff when you don't treat it like what it is, which is, yeah, you've got this Kim Jong-il guy, head of state, very well educated, very knowledgeable about Korean politics, has also shown that he has to take measures to protect the bureaucratic authoritarian nature of North Korea, right? It's not this very like change apt or change ready state in every sense of the word. And so I think seeing this from the outside, people could say, well, yeah, making comedy movies about North Korea is funny for us. It does not help anything either, right? But then you see Donald Trump and you can say, yeah, making fun of Trump does not help anything. But it is funny for some people, right? I think Donald Trump has, as much as anyone in the world, could be said to have earned that kind of stuff. But yeah, whatever. What do you think the best form of government is? Standalone government will fail. So I think a democratic republic is the best form. Cool. Yeah, that's really deep answer. That's a very deep answer. That's really crazy deep answer, Connor. That's crazy stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I think I think that the best form of government is, if we were to look at a place like New York and say that New York's got this 300-year history, you know, so why isn't New York different than it is, right? And to me, I think it's because you have a limited government more than anything else, right? People can dig into just kind of what you see with like Mamdani or AOC or Curtis Sliwa, the big names that came out of the last mayoral election and that come up in national politics. Go see what the big ideas in New York are. But then you can also remember that it's still a limited government, right? There's nothing that really extends, or as much as you can do, it's still a limited government. And maybe it's the case that, you're suggesting maybe more eruditely than me, right? And almost like embarrassing and like, no offense, but per the manosphere, kind of per the new manosphere, like that's kind of like condescending. It's kind of owning, dude. You can kind of just like, yeah, I would say just be mindful of that kind of stuff. But limited government, I don't think Trump is doing a limited government. I think we can see things like, asking Congress money for wars, making all these changes in the War Department. None of these are limited government measures. These are all real dangerous things, right? Real dangerous, real bad guy stuff, stuff that I wouldn't personally want any part of. Yeah. And so like the biggest challenge I think is like, if we say that, well, you're doing a good job, very soulfully, Connor, of saying, okay, well, we've got this, a standalone government fails, but we have a democratic republic. You're creating this like huge space, which is really helpful for intellectual exploration, but those have to come together at some point as well. If we're talking about a republic in the sense that you have delegation and separation of powers, right? So people have to know how you're separating powers. And then more foundationally, there has to be an underlying, production system, right? Or ownership system. There has to be agriculture, right? You have to have in the nation state era, you have to have urban rural divisions that somehow support the structure in a republic. And then the democratic aspect is that, yeah, there's a will of the people. There's perhaps that constitutional aspect emphasized in a democracy for these reasons that, yeah, this underlying thing is slightly more fundamental or something. And so what actually goes out and produces it's people's energy is what does it, right? It's people's energy that concerns itself with breaking it, right? So that's the divide that I see is to me, if I were to read that, I would say you're talking about not breaking a government. Too much corruption, my personal opinion. I'm a Marine vet. Oh, thank you for your service, sir. I'll say, it's cool. I want to do Stolen Valor with you, just per the manosphere and stuff like that. But let me read this from Robert Fruget. Too much corruption. My personal opinion, I'm a Marine vet. I'll be 69 on Easter Sunday, April 5th. I don't like the boots on the ground idea. Too much death and destruction. We all get there eventually, right? We all get there eventually. One of my buddies on the internet participates in Veterans for Peace events. My friend's grandfather, John Henry, was a Veterans for Peace broadcaster here in Arizona on the AM networks. So he did a weekly show, I believe. Even when his and his wife's health got more poor, he still did Veterans for Peace radio for a while. So I don't think that stuff's unimportant. I also don't think that like you can watch anarchic consolidation and it keeps going. It just keeps going, you know? And so it's one of those things where it's like you can see it either as a frustration, as something we learn to live with, or you can see it as something that literally people will die watching. There's people that will literally live and die watching the levels of violence in order to prevent it. People forget that. If you don't go out with the bomb, but you go out when you're it's less joy in your life because you were trying to observe for peace or something like that. Not an NGO, not a bomb, not an airplane, not a set of boots on the ground or however you say that. None of that stuff, right? There's a guy watching it. Human stuff, right? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. No, it still does, right? Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. It's something that you see, and if you knew enough, it would have happened. So then you see it happen. Didn't matter. Didn't matter. People still want peace. Does not matter one bit. Hate to break it to you. If you had asked it the right way the first time, you still get the same answer. It still doesn't matter. So thank you for your service. I appreciate your opinions, irrespective of whether or not they respect peace. But I'm obviously very grateful to see that little line of text there. Those things are always, I think, encouraging to people because someone's bold enough to speak out about that aspect. That's why I want to eventually get into politics. Hell yeah. Yeah, that's cool. This is why I want to eventually get into politics. Cool. Yeah, awesome. And, go to law school, right? Go to law school if that's what you want to do. Get a law degree so you can write policy. One of my friends on LinkedIn, he's a cool guy, but he's got an MPA from one of the top universities in the country. Very smart guy. So I believe he's got either a political science or business degree and an MPA, but he got into technology companies afterwards. So there's a lot you can do with a political science degree. Lots of people are successful with political science or philosophy degrees in the business world. And then there's always a way to keep those peaceful and productive, however you want to do it, right? However you decide you're happy and you do it best, that's awesome. Welcome to the new Manosphere, folks. This is like a Manosphere style channel. Yeah. It's very cool. Cool. Hell yeah, we got Arcade Pilot in the chat. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I like YouTube. YouTube's a good venue to have conversations and discuss stuff. Yeah. Definitely. I think when people want to do big things in their life, a lot of people turn to social media. It's like these are the people I want to confess to. I want to tell them what I was eventually lucky or successful enough to go do. And eventually I want to tell you guys why it matters. Reddit's another good website. We're going to have a new internet, in the next 10 years. People are going to want to make an internet protocol. Somebody eventually is going to make an internet protocol that's more friendly to advertisers, right? They're going to say, well, Internet 1.0 was the internet of ads, right? It is ad funded. This is what our money goes to, right? They're going to make up a different type of lie and say something like, they're going to, They're going to tell us Internet 1.0 was about information control, right? So this Internet 2.0, it's about generating one-to-one experiences using AI, and so this is why we need the new protocol for the same reason, right? The same reason, guys. We're gonna supervene on. We're gonna stack those supervene and stack those two things. We're gonna do a really great job on this, right? Security, guys. National security, everybody. We're gonna securitize the second AI internet so you don't get ads, and so it doesn't matter if you can't pay your bill because you still have the internet somewhere, right? That's what matters to you. It's not, you wouldn't have said that about the first internet. It's a bunch of BS. Cool, man. Arcade, yeah, your name looks familiar. I usually have a lot of brain damage, and so I'll keep a lookout for you. Yeah, I go and talk a bunch of shit on panels, and I like debates. I love debates. I'd like to get back into like formal debates. At some point in time, that would be cool stuff too. That would all be really interesting. It'd be a lot of fun. Be a lot of fun, I'd hope. And yeah, and so cool. Political rhetoric class, I mean, might be the one. Simon de Bolivar was one that was really interesting to read because he was both he was well educated in politics, but he was also a politician while he was doing the majority of his writing. So Simon de Bolivar is a good one to read for rhetoric. Some might say it's power politics, but it's really about state formation. Nation building is the nation building is so I challenge you to do that, right? If you take a political science class, but not all of them. Hey, what's up, Vibe? Hey, good to see you. Vibe had a debate tonight. Vibe had a good debate tonight. So yeah, he was doing force doctrine. But yeah, Connor, I would say that, yeah, if you can get into nation building, that is where a lot of great rhetoric comes from. You can look up old Teddy Roosevelt speeches. Is one of the guys I like. Um, in American political thought, which is different. There's also, what's his name? John Dewey and William James did some back and forth argumentation. So, but I've never taken an actual class. I've never taken a class. So that's cool. I bet you learned a lot of stuff like that in there. Yeah. Yeah. And then Vibe had an awesome debate. If you guys want to go check out Vibe on YouTube, you can see, if you just search VYBE, his name should come up too. But he published a good debate tonight on the social contract, social constructions of a force doctrine. So very interesting stuff there too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, cool stuff. Yeah, what else other than political rhetoric? Yeah, I'd be interested in that. Max Weber wrote, you know, well, some of the weird, like, the early scientific, the early form. It's surprising. I would put de Tocqueville, maybe Max Weber in this camp, where their writings are a little bit sort of rhetorically, but they're also pretty based. So I don't know. I just don't know all that much about that topic. There's a bunch of society, art, and politics classes. Those are cool electives. Some of them are a little too esoteric or hard for non-majors, but that's one of the good reasons that you have colleges and not social media all the time is, yeah, just with colleges and universities, you also get those class structures that a professor designs coursework around. Yeah, like if you want to know art theory and not just how there's art like Banksy art or something relating to politics, college is very cool. College is very cool. Not everybody gets that opportunity. That's still a reason that we should celebrate college and not think down on it. Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna tune out pretty soonish. I think I'm gonna go to bed. We've been going for about an hour and 20 minutes now. So I am getting a little bit tired, and I hope you guys all had a good night and stuff like that. John Dewey is the name of a high school not far from me. Huge guy. He changed the face of American education, and provided like a very useful framing for Americans starting to in mass approach topics like psychology, right? He was one of the people that said that, well, look, you shouldn't in schools, like, here's this argument about pragmatism, but you shouldn't really have like perhaps like these new Freudian or philosophical mental depictions of what mind and self might be like. You shouldn't really have these in the classroom for no very good reason, right? There's perhaps a reason to pursue and allow these in education, but you also have to accept that these are not going to be like researching chemistry or the brain and things like this into the future. So it was very much into the zeitgeist of where science was itself at that time. That was very cool. Cool. We got Connor checking out. All right, new style manosphere folks. I think we're ending the stream for the time being, but kind of keep the spirit of this alive though, right? Someone, if I recall correctly, there was this question somebody had asked about Nick Fuentes. So one of the things we do talk about a little bit is being anti-racist. We're not trying to, for no reason, we're not trying to make the world worse because we say yes to saying bad words. So that's all I really wanted to say tonight. Yeah. All right. If I can do anything to help you guys, let me know. Let me know what I can do to help. If there's content you want to see, let me know what I can do to help. If there is maybe a debate that you guys want me to cover, let me know what I can do to help. If there's something more important that I can do to work on right now. Yeah, thank you. Very high quality. My tripod broke, guys. If you guys want to know how sad I am in life, I appreciate you guys hanging out, but my tripod broke. I gotta be able to find a way to afford a new one, so that's how fucking broke I am, guys. Peace. Peace, bitch.